Now for this next part, I'm going to try to do this on the ground because there is fluid in here. It's not a grease, it's actually more of an oil, and I'm sure I'm going to end up tipping it over, but I'm going to try to retain the fluid in there. For this step, if you've got any kind of power tools, I recommend it because there is a whole lot of bolts to be taken out. I think that's all of them. Now there's some pry spots here that are made for it. Not that this, by the way, this transmission is considered not serviceable, but we're going to give it our best shot here. There it goes. That case comes right out. Okay, now we're getting into what I think is wrong with this. I've been inside one like this before, and there's, well, several things. The filter, I bought a new filter. These, I don't know the names of them, but they got these little pistons that go in and out. And there's another set of those under there. I've bought that set, the block and the pistons, the set underneath, the block and the pistons, and this. Now there's a kit that's about $800, I believe it was, and I'm not sure if it was still available last I looked, which also contains this block, but I don't consider that the wear portion, so I ordered what was a couple $100 worth of stuff, maybe, I don't even remember how much, rather than, you know, spending more than this tractor's even worth. I'm going to try it. If it doesn't work, then plan B. Okay, so I just took off those 3 bolts, 1, 2, 3, and if you pry in there a little bit, this will pop up because it wants to, because these pistons here are held there's a spring behind them, so it wants to push this whole block up, so that's how it just kind of popped up for me. So this is the piece I'm going to replace, and also this block here with all those piston springs came in the new kit. So we'll get this on the bench and work on it up there. Okay, one real important note. As you're taking this apart, there is the tiniest little pin that lives in that hole, and it will fall out and it will go in your oil and you will never see it again. So make sure that's in there when you put it back, because if you don't, the release that I showed earlier, the release bar, That's what it pushes on to release the transmission. So you will not be able to release your transmission if you don't you know, while it's off. You will not be able to freewheel the tractor without it. So what I bought, and I'm hoping the wind noise isn't getting the camera here, is from Tuff Torq cylinder block kit. There's some part numbers and whatever. That's the one piece like this, and then the larger one, or is that the big one? And this is the large one. Yeah, that's the big one, which would be that one. And there's a smaller one. If I put them side by side, maybe that'll be more obvious. And one of each. So this is the small kit. I don't know which one's bad. I don't know if this is the problem. I'm just trying to gamble, and you know, they say it's not serviceable, so we're just going to put some parts in there and see what we get. I think these are probably going to be the problem, because I would imagine as these go in and out a billion times, they wear out the bore, and then it doesn't get a proper seal when they're trying to pump. And then I got the filter here, which is that part number right there for mine. So I'm just gonna take the new ones out of the package here and put them in. Let's see what we got. Okay, I've got the replacement parts lined up. I was just kind of giving these a little wiggle side to side to see. This one really doesn't seem worn. If I had to guess what part is worn out, it's on the old one. It's this one. This one, it's got a little wiggle, even though that one's got their heavy oil in there still. These, even without oil, barely have any wiggle. So I'm guessing this is actually the part that wears. But because I don't know, I'm just doing them both while I'm in here. Okay, this might get a little tricky. All these cylinders want to fall out, so I'm going to try to hold them, and one already fell out. This is going to be a two-handed operation, but anyway, you got to get it down on that shaft right there. Okay, so I had to put some of that heavy oil in the bores, and then I was able to get it there. You'll know when you got it, when you get it, and one of them's hanging up again. This will be able to push up and down with spring pressure, but right now one of them has escaped and is making it not able to do that. So I got to get them all lined up, and then I'll put this other part onto the shaft, onto this shaft. This bearing goes back in there. The other part goes on here with that block. Wish I could tell you there was some really great procedure to put this stuff back down with, but the fact is it was just trial and error till I was finally able to get these little pins to seat. Obviously it's not down all the way yet. This is still sticking up higher than it should be. I gotta move everything down as an assembly, and all that while getting this bearing over and in its little pocket, along with the brake disc, I guess you'd say, brake rotor. Getting all that to line up and come over and down in its pocket. So it's just going to be a little trial and error. I'm going to just tap lightly on this, try to jiggle things around until it all wants to fall in. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention, this is that rod that does the release. That just comes out. It's just got a thing at the bottom. It just basically slips right out. So we'll have to make sure we get that back in. But anyway, I got the block secured back down. I got this at the right angle going in the mine tapers to the bottom side. That's our new cylinder assembly, whatever you want to call it. The one at the bottom is in. Hopefully that pin's in where it goes. I got the bearing in its little groove. The gears are meshing. The brake rotor is good. This shaft likes to pop up and come out. That's in where it goes. Everything looks like it's ready to be put back. I'm just going to clean up these gasket surfaces a little. Put some more liquid gasket sealer. That's what it came with from the factory. This stuff here is aftermarket. Just the same stuff I'm going to put down now, and it works fine. So let me get the cover back on, and we'll begin reinstallation rather. One other note, because somebody's going to call me out on it, I did not put the filter on. The new filter actually has a gasket both top and bottom, whereas the old one was more of a plastic with a kind of a screen, I don't know what you want to call that, like a felt mesh. It's hard, very hard. It's kind of interesting. Maybe that could be part of the problem of failure with these, is that the unfiltered oil was getting into, you know, with particles, was getting by, and now they've redesigned their filters to maybe it'll last longer this time. So that goes there, and then we're ready to put the case on. Make sure this is straight up and down. It can look like it's in there all the way, and you'll never get the case on. It's got to be perfectly straight up and down, so this notch can go into where it needs to go. So I'm going to put the case back on, bring you back. Okay, so I got all those bolts tightened back down, and in the next video I'll reinstall it the same way it came out and try it out, see if it worked. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Put a comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one.